Hello, everybody. I'm Chris Boggle, and welcome back to another episode of the Roundtable. Now, today's subject is covers that are better than the original. Although we might have a few in here that are also just covers that are as good as the original. But we're specifically doing covers that live up to or surpass the original. So today with me, I have Ben,
Hello.
Matthew,
And yeah,
and Phan,
Hey guys.
and Zach.
I was coughing violently into the microphone. I apologize for that.
So we're going to start with you, Ben. What is your first pick for a cover that you think is as good as or better than the original?
Oh, this one is a cover that I think is significantly better than the original, and it is Smooth Criminal, covered by Alien Ant Farm. I think that I just enjoyed listening to it. What do you have to say, Matthew?
no, I was expecting this song to be picked later, but
I was expecting
You're
the
just-
song. I was expecting the song to be picked by somebody else here. Hint, hint.
yeah.
This is like
He's talking about me.
this is like the one new metal song I actually like. I guess.
Plenty of good new metal songs.
Yeah, but you did that whole video arguing that new metal sucked, Ben, and then now you're about to give this one, like, oh, actually, like, my favorite cover song is the new metal one.
I know this is my favorite of the songs I'm going to be doing. Never said that.
Oh,
Never said that. I said that I thought that this cover was significantly better than the original. Honestly, like, Michael Jackson's voice on the original seems a little weak to me in places. Like, kinda, I mean, I get that he's purposely trying to be quiet, like he's sneaking around. But I think it does result in his voice being a little bit weaker than it is. Also, I just think with the rock instrumentals and stuff on, like, at least to me, than the Michael Jackson original. I mean, that's just a matter of personal taste. My personal taste usually skews very heavily away from new metal. This song does not annoy me like other new do. I don't like actively seek this song out, but if I like hear it when I'm out and about, which sometimes I do, I'm like, yeah, this is actually a pretty good song.
Alright, anyone have something to add about this song?
If you listen to rock radio in the early 2010s, late 2000s, early 2010s, you would hear this song every 30 minutes. And I quite like it. I think it is better than Michael Jackson.
I probably could think this is better than Michael Jackson. I think. Like, Smooth Criminal isn't one of the Michael Jackson songs I listen to, but this is very good. And I'm glad that Ben has seen the light and saw that new metal is actually kind of good.
Yeah.
Wait, what? What now, Matthew? The last part?
Remember, the pro new metal side won the debate, so I mean, it's the official opinion at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was
New metal
technically
is
true.
pretty
The
awesome.
new metal, they did win. Moving on, Matthew, it's your turn. What's a cover you want to give?
Okay, there are like at least maybe two or three of ones that I had to give out. And this one had to be there. Hurt by Johnny Cash was the one was one of the few picks I had to get. I had to have. So, yeah, it's just like Johnny Cash just did a better job portraying the like the feeling of the song than the original 9 Inch Nails. I think, yeah, it's 9 Inch Nails. He just does a better job of portraying the sorrow of the song. And yeah, I had to pick "Hurt" by Johnny Cash.
Oh yeah, this is an amazing cover. Like, I don't know. I'm not against 9 Inch Nails. I think they're a pretty good band, but this one just feels like it has a lot of like additional meaning that doesn't exist in the Which, I mean, the original one I think has a lot of meaning because it has to do with, I believe, addiction, and it is painful in that regard. But in the Cash one, I mean, not only has to do with his drug addiction, there's just kind of this weight of the world that's just very painful. Johnny Cash is not far from his death. June Carter's not very far from her death in it. And there's just a sense that all of the mistakes he had made in the past, and like the relationship with his first wife, for instance, I think is appealed to in it, and all of these mistakes and issues with the drug addiction that in the end he thinks, even though he's covering, he thinks or feels that there was something essential about him.
I think it's mainly just him contemplating death, because if you watch the video, it's he's old, his wife's old, and all that stuff, and it's a very powerful song. I was gonna talk about this song, but I'll pick another Johnny Cash cover, I guess.
Wait, I wonder. Wow, there's a lot of good Johnny Cash covers I could pick, honestly.
The American Recordings era of Johnny Cash is, there's so many covers, and they're all really good. So
yeah, exactly. All right.
All
Next
right.
person.
Phan, it's your turn next. What is the cover you want to pick?
Okay. So my first one has to be DEVO's version of Satisfaction. I'm probably not the only person who wrote this down. I know it's very different from the original, which is obviously iconic and a killer tune, but listening to it, it's this whacked out kind of dissonant thing where you listen to it and you really almost feel like you don't have any satisfaction when you listen to it, almost playing into that idea more whenever you hear it. It's this zonked out, kind of bizarre, definitely a Brian Eno type creation. I know he was the producer on that album, and he definitely would have added a lot to that. And I think a lot of great, things in that song that really take it to such a different level. This is one I don't know if I could say it's better, because it's just so different that it kind of exists in its own plane. But I definitely think this is one worth bringing up on a list of best covers, because it's just so unique.
Alright, yeah, definitely an interesting pick. Not one I personally think's better than the original, but I certainly do understand your reasoning here, and I think it is a good one to be brought up here on this video.
I probably need to listen to it. I've never heard the DEVO cover of Can't Get No Satisfaction.
I will say, I do think the original's better, but I will say a point in the DEVO's version's favor is that in the original, Mick Jagger does sound pretty passionate still, which I mean it's to convey frustration, I think, in many ways. He's passionate, he's frustrated. The DEVO version, well, Marvel's Boss sounds flat, like he usually does, which I think conveys almost it's a different emotion, sort of. But the lyrics still match. The lyrics match perfectly. But the alienation in the DEVO version is depression, as opposed to just kind of boiling or boiling under the surface anger. In sexual you know what. In the Rolling Stones version, I think that they do convey different emotions in the same form, different emotional reactions to the same type of alienation described in the song's lyrics.
Alright, moving on. Zach, it's your turn. What is your pick?
So I am a giant Metallica fan, as everyone knows. And of course I had to pick a Metallica song. I contemplated a lot of different songs because they have a lot of very good covers. I ended up going with Turn the Page, your cover of Bob Seger song. It's phenomenal. In my opinion, it's much better than the original. Bob Seger's version kind of just drags on. Metallica's version that's heavy. It came in a really like unique creative period for them, where it was post load pre-Saint Anger, and yeah, they kind of they were trying different things. They only wrote like 3 original songs during this period, being No Lick Flavor, Minus Human, and I Disappear. And those songs were more heavy than they were fast, and I really like that for them. And this, even though like a lot of the songs on Garage Inc. are basically just playing the songs the way that they were originally written, Turn the Page is completely different. It feels like it has like the same like melody, the same like slide guitar thing, lead part, but it's phenomenal. I think I've heard the original like twice, but I think I always come back to Turn the Page. It's one of my favorite Metallica songs, period. So, yeah.
I'm gonna be honest, I don't think I've ever heard the Metallica version of this song, although I am familiar with the Bob Seger version.
The one thing I would say is I don't think the one thing I would think is that it doesn't convey the loneliness that the Bob Seger version conveys. You know, it's a lot. The Bob Seger one's very spacious, and it has a very lonely feeling that I don't think Metallica captures. Not a bad cover; they do a good job, but for me, it doesn't have that level of kind of almost deepness that the Bob Seger does.
Metallica's version is more frustrated and angry than anything. Like, this is the life I chose, where Bob Seger is more like, oh, I'm so sad about this. And I don't know. It's like, I kind of prefer like the frustrated, angry vibes of Metallica better.
Yeah, and I totally get that. That makes a lot of sense. Very much so. It definitely works as a heavier kind of frustrated tune, but personally, I do prefer that kind of lonely element that Bob bring to it. Also, the saxophone. I mean, you can't beat that saxophone.
we love a saxophone here, and
Oh yeah.
I don't.
Indeed. Alright, well now it's my turn. I'm going to pick When You Were Mine, which was originally by Prince, but I'm going with the Cyndi Lauper cover.
Interesting.
Interesting. The Prince version of this song is pretty good. I mean, he obviously gets props for songwriting. It's a good song. I'm not a huge fan of his vocal on that particular song, although I do generally like Prince's vocals on most of his other songs. But the version, I think both the production and the vocal are just so much better on the Cyndi Lauper version. Especially the vocal just really is a very top-tier performance by Cyndi Lauper in this song. I think it's probably my favorite song by her. And I think she does a very good interpretation of it. I think the pairing of Prince's songwriting and Cyndi Lauper's sort of singing style also works very well. Kind of like a match made in heaven, at least as far as the 80s go. So, yeah, I mean, that's what I have to pick. Anyone else have any thoughts?
I have never heard of this before. I need to hear it. My favorite Cyndi Lauper song is "Time After Time."
Yes, Time After Time is an excellent song.
That's probably
That one does not sound anything like Ghost Bond to Have Fun.
That's probably my second favorite after When You Were Mine.
Time After Time is, yeah, just that, like, from one album that you have such, like, difference. That is right? They're on the same album.
Yeah, When You Were Mine, Girls Just Want to Have Fun, Time After Time, just all the same album.
Yeah, they do have such, like, wildly different sounding hit singles from, like, a punk artist in the 80s down there. It's very impressive, I think.
Yeah. Very, very, very good album, actually. It does kind of drop off a bit in the second half, but side A is great. Alright, up next, it's your turn again, Ben, back to the top. So, what's your next pick?
My next pick is Respect by Aretha Franklin. The original version's by Otis Redding. Some of us on the album club listened to the Otis Redding version with Otis Blue I mean, it's
Yeah.
good. He has a good voice. It's nothing like the Aretha version. The Aretha version is just so much better. Otis Blue. It's a good song. I'm glad he wrote it. His voice is good. He could have done a lot better. I know he could have done a lot better because I know in other songs he does a lot better. I'm glad he wrote it. The Aretha version is just so much better. Also, its meaning just changes to like being like, I'm not gonna put up with your shit anymore from like a bad husband in the Aretha version. That's just like not there in the Otis version. So like,
In the Otis version, he kind of
okay,
is the
well,
bad. In the
an
Otis version,
OG.
Ben, in the Otis version, he kind of is the bad husband. Let's be honest.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, it's like its meaning changes like completely. Its point changes completely. Also, the version of it in the Blues Brothers is good. So that's more of a do-nothing husband, and no, he does say something misogynistic, I guess, right before it. But mostly it's just that he's like not wanting to do his job. But like, yeah, excellent cover, an instant classic, something that I've loved since I was a little kid. Like, I don't know what else there is to say.
I mean, it's so good that most people think it's an Aretha Franklin song, basically. But yeah, Respect is very good. My personal favorite Aretha Franklin is "Say a Little Prayer," but Respect is very good.
Well, I mean that's Phil Matthew. That's a cover too,
Really?
Yeah, it's originally by Dionne Warwick.
Oh. The next one I have to pick. This is a very boring pick, but "All Along the Watchtower" by Jimi Hendrix. Um, I, as much as it's overplayed in every single like movie, especially during like Vietnam War era, it's like as good as it. It's like a really good cover. It's like Jimi Hendrix's most iconic song to the point with Respect where um people think that, oh yeah, this is a Jimi Hendrix song, when no, it's a um it was a cover by Bob Dylan. But yeah, All Along the Watchtower.
Yeah, here in Oklahoma we have a Bob Dylan archive, and in it there's a little Bob Dylan wrote to Jimi Hendrix saying that he thought his version was better. Actually, so even Bob Dylan agrees that the Jimi Hendrix version was better than his.
I mean, it's a boring pick, but it has to be on here. I mean, 100% you can't have this list without that song on here.
Also, I think just like with her, it basically best portrays kind of whatever the message of All Along the Watchtower is. And I think I was gonna say this with Respect. I think it's an added point of potentially people getting meaning from Respect is that, like adding to like Aretha Franklin being a black woman and all that stuff, you kind of like indirectly, like inadvertently, like think of different meanings to that, because it's like because of different perspectives. Also think like the Jimi Hendrix version kind of best portrays kind of like, I guess, the frustration of the time of during the United States during the late '60s. It basically portrays the unrest of the United States during the late 1960s.
Yeah. All right. Up next it is Phan. Your turn again.
Alright, so I'm going to go to the 60s as well, and I'm going to kind of cheat a little bit. I know we're trying to stick mostly to studio, but there's a studio recording of it. I'm going to go with Morning Dew by the Grateful Dead. And the original version is this kind of really cool, kind of almost period of time where they were playing this tune as kind of like a faster, more upbeat kind of psychedelic tune, although it would eventually kind of form into like in Europe 72 being the most iconic version, where it kind of turned into this big, slow, kind of melancholy type song about nuclear war, something obviously on everyone's mind in the 60s and whatnot, and it became such a great stage number. and they really made it their own to the point that I would consider it possibly Jerry Garcia's signature tune. Despite being a cover, it's just something so like iconic and attached to them as a band, and just with so much power behind it as they would slowly build and build and build to this huge crescendo, that I think it's definitely one of the most iconic Dead tunes.
Yeah, well, Grateful Dead are one of those bands where, like, everything they touch just turns to gold in some way. They can never do a bad, like, version of anything, really. Every time, they picked up and started to play, it was great.
Yeah, they really had a special quality to them that really most bands don't have somehow. They just had a magic to them that made them kind of be able to take these things and bring it over to the next level.
Next, it is my turn again. So, for my pick, this time I am going to be going with City of New Orleans, which is originally an Orlo Guthrie song, and I like Orlo Guthrie, but I'm going with the Willie Nelson version, because I just kind of like that version better. Does anyone else here know this song?
I do not. I have not actually listened to that much Willie Nelson in my life.
No, I don't know it.
Yeah, I don't recognize that.
Very good song. It's about a train. It's a country song, obviously. I mean, it's originally by Orlo Guthrie, whose version is also really good, but I just kind of prefer Willie Nelson's version. I kind of like his voice, the way he sings it a bit better. There's a bit more of a, I don't know, I think he captures the melancholy kind of feel in it, and the kind of the traveling away a bit better than Orlo did. So, yeah, I mean, that's just my thoughts. I do strongly recommend listening to this song. Oh, well, I was just looking this up right now, and actually, this is not actually a cover of Orlo Guthrie. This is actually, they're both covers. It's originally by a guy named Steve Goodman, which I don't really know, but apparently he's the original writer. Zach, you're up next. What is your next pick?
I'm going to go with Have a Cigar by Foo Fighters, originally by Pink Floyd. This was recorded with Brian May on guitar and Taylor Hawkins on vocals, Dave Grohl on drums. My God, they knocked it out of the park. The Pink Floyd version's pretty good. I heard it in Royal Farms one time. If you're not from Maryland, then you don't know what Royal Farms is. I apologize.
I too know what Royal Farms are.
Yeah, I'm just not going to explain it. I'm just going to keep going.
Exactly. Just keep going. No worries.
Really like. I just think Foo Fighters version's better. It's a lot more aggressive. It's a lot more. It's phenomenal.
I have Wish You Were Here is my favorite Pink Floyd album. I know people say, well, like, I think most people, rightfully so, think that Dark Side of the Moon is like their best album, and I still agree that it's really good. But Wish You Were Here is my favorite. That being said, I have not heard the Foo Fighters version, but Have a Cigar is probably one of my least favorites of that album. But then again, it's like a 5-track, like, behemoth of a beast of an album, like in length and all that.
Yeah, this isn't like one of my top Pink Floyd songs, even though it's one I listen to quite regularly. It's of the ones I do listen to like super regularly. It's probably like one of my least favorite, but still pretty damn good song. I have not heard the Foo Fighters version, but it sounds interesting, so I will check it out. Back to the top, Ben. It is your turn again.
The song I'm going with is Police and Thieves by The Clash. So the original is a reggae song by Junior Morvin. I mean, it's a reggae song. I mean, I've heard it, and it's pretty good, but it's not, like, as good as the Clash version, in my opinion. And honestly, like, it does sound quite a bit different. I'm a fan of the Clash, as I think is well known on here, and the whole 6-minute version of Police and Thieves does not feel that long. Like I think that's one of the strengths of it, is it doesn't feel as long as it is. That is long, but there's a lot in it. It feels like slowing down and speeding back up and stuff. That is like good. Like this song's cover has quote has a what, that kind of came out wrong. This cover was also endorsed by Bob Marley of all people, saying that it is different, but me like how him feel it. Him, I guess, being Schummel, I guess.
Probably.
So yeah, I think Police and Thieves is the best song on the Force Clash album. Yeah. I don't really have much else to say other than like it is a fun song on a fun album, and it also does kind of make you think in a sense that like in the original and the Clash version both, that it's like about how police and the politicians like deal with or interpret or in cases encourage crime. That I think that the punk sound of a Clash like draws out the aggression of that. That the peacemakers turned war officers.
Matthew, what's your next
Alright.
pick?
Ooh, let me look. I have a piece of paper of what I want to do. I'm gonna say "Send in the Clowns" by Frank Sinatra. It's it's like covered off of the musical, I think, A Little Night Music. That was done which music was done by Stephen Sondheim. It's just really good. It kind of best portrays kind of the sadness of, isn't it rich? Are we a pair? Like Frank is basically, it's him older than the '70s. It's like best portrays like the sadness of the song, where it's just like, you know, be here at last on the ground, you and me there, send in the clowns. Yeah, I just love that one.
Usually, when I think about this song, I think of the Judy Collins version. I'm just
Yeah,
gonna say.
I think I like the Judy Collins version better than the Frank Sinatra version. Sorry, Matthew.
Why are you apologizing to me? I didn't get offended.
I'm sorry.
You should apologize to Frank Sinatra then, even though he's dead for years.
Well, he can apologize to Nancy Sinatra.
Yeah, please apologize to her. Say, I'm just gonna go to Nancy Sinatra and say, look, my friend Ben disrespected your father's memory because he said he didn't like his version of "Send in the Clouds."
I said I didn't like it. I said I like the Judy Collins version better.
Alright, Phan, I think it's your turn again.
Yeah, so I'm actually going to stick with the jazz theme here, another tune that was originally for a musical and then taken later. I'm going to go with My Favorite Things by John Coltrane. Such a monumental tune, and especially like as a jazz musician myself and studying modal jazz and things like that, the whole album is really seminal, but this tune specifically, taking like a 2 to 3 minute pop tune and turning it into this like 13-minute really kind of modal jazz fest where there's so much happening, so much interaction between each member of the band. This is really like a song that I know I personally connect with a lot. It's one that I've played a lot, and it's really just a recording that kind of really inspired probably a good chunk of these rock bands that have come after it. Bands like a lot of jam bands, obviously, but just the idea of taking this short form thing and being able to stretch it out and really kind of make it your own thing. And this is also, keep in mind, before the movie came out too. So even that the Julia Roberts version isn't even like a thing yet too. So is another thing to think about. That this isn't like a huge monster smash hit. This was on Broadway for like a year, and then he went out and took this song and made it his own.
Yeah,
Julie
I would say
Andrews.
that.
I thought it was Julie Andrews. I was like, no, it's Roberts. Whatever. Thank you.
I will
But-
say that
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say that I have a big connection to The Sound of Music because that's my dad's favorite movie. It's one he really likes a lot, and as someone who is theater kid adjacent, Sound of Music is one of the favorites. So I have not heard that, and I'll give that a listen.
Up next, we have Zach again. Zach?
I want to talk about a song that Nirvana did in their MTV Unplugged.
Uh-oh.
And it is not The Man Who Sold the World.
Thank you, Zach. I love you now, because that is not better than the original.
Wait a minute.
I love you
didn't
now.
Love him. You didn't love
It
him
is-
that?
It is better than the original.
No, it's
The Man Who
not,
Sold the
but-
World is
No,
better than the original.
no, it's
But-
not.
Everybody loves The Man Who Sold the World. But
I love The
nobody
Man Who
talks
Sold
about
the
Where Did
World,
You Sleep
original.
Last Night. Nobody talks about The Man Who Sold... oh, God. Nobody
I
talks
think you should
about...
just pick. I think you should just pick Man Who Sold the World then.
No.
You may have enough.
No, Zach, no. Don't.
Nobody talks about Where Did You Sleep Last Night, which was like a old like bluegrass song that Nirvana did, and they closed the show with it, and it's really cool. It's like really entrancing listening to her like scream the lyrics to it. Yeah, I love bluegrass, so I mean, it's really cool to hear Nirvana do that.
All right. Anyone else have anything to say about this?
The Nirvana version of Man Who Sold the World is indeed better than the David Bowie one.
No.
Yes.
I just simply do not hear you say that. I'm just gonna... I simply do not listen.
Like literally, I feel like normies will basically say,
If you say, "Oh yeah, who did Man Who Sold the World?" they probably would say Nirvana before David Bowie. And no disrespect to David Bowie, he's a legend.
All right, up next, Ben, it is you again.
Woo! Shake it up, baby! Shake it up, baby! And shout! Just and shout! Come on, come on, come on, baby!
Come on,
Mama,
baby.
Come on and walk it up!
Walk it
Okay.
on out.
Okay, you already know what it is now.
This is,
You already know.
This is the Beatles version, I'm assuming.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean,
Famous.
they were not the first or last person to cover it, but...
Yeah.
But Ben, I'm assuming you mean to say that they're the best, right?
Yeah, the Beatles, to the point that people described it as Tristan Shout by the Beatles. Or Tristan Shout the Beatles. I feels like in the past couple, maybe IOL described Tristan Shout as a Beatles song. So that tells you, doesn't it?
Yeah. I guess it does. People do quite often describe it as a Beatles song. It's great, and it also, I think, really ends the Beatles' first album off really well. I know we've discussed the Beatles album closers at length on his channel before.
Yes.
I just want to kind of add that in, that it's a really good album closer with a kind of a great, wild, party vibe to it. It's one of the most, despite being a cover, it does feel like one of the most authentic Beatles songs in a way. That whole album has a bit more of a more wild energy to it than some of their later stuff, even though I am a self-proclaimed fan of the Beatles' later stuff. Yeah, up next it's you again, Matthew.
Okay, can I cheat and do like a three-parter?
Sure, go ahead.
All right. I got like a three-headed monster. I'm gonna say "Proud Mary" by Tina Turner. Since it was referenced earlier, I say a little prayer by Aretha Franklin, and "I Feel for You" by Chaka Khan. Like these are all like really great songs, and especially like, and it's kind of hard because I really like the Creedence Clearwater Revival. Did I get it right?
Yeah, you did.
Yes, I really like that energy of the song. It's very like, kind of your writing, and the kind of kind of the rural parts, and you're kind of easy and all that. But like, I don't know, it's like the the Tina Turner version is like almost like a religious experience. And Say a Little Prayer is like a very sweet sounding song. It's like a song you think when you're in love. And I feel for you, kind of, it does a different version than the original Prince version, where the Prince is very like cool and stuff, while the Chaka Khan version is very like electric and all that.
Well, I mean, I'll drink to the I Feel For You Shaka Khan version and the Aretha version of I Say a Little Prayer being better than the originals, but I won't with Proud Mary. Tina Turner's great. She does have songs that are like covers. For instance, the song The Best by Tina Turner is a cover. I believe that was originally by Bonnie Tyler. But in my opinion, her version of Proud Mary just isn't it. I like it, but it's a little too
It's hard
slow.
though,
And
because
I'm a
really,
big
really like.
Creedence Clearwater Revival fan, and I just can't. I just like if I listen to that song, I go to their version. It sounds great. I will say I have seen on YouTube sometimes videos of like Tina Turner doing live versions of Proud Mary. They're closer in like instrumentation and in tempo to the Creedence version though, and those are good. I will say. So there's that as well. But I just could never really get behind personally the Ike and Tina version of Proud
I
Mary.
actually just prefer the Tina version, for a variety of reasons. Just the Tina version.
All right, up next, Phan, it's you again.
Right. So I'm gonna go to an area that we haven't done yet, and I'm gonna move to 80s dance pop, and I'm gonna go with Venus by Bananarama. Such a fun tune. Um, like they took this kind of psychedelic country pop tune and turned it into this massive sounding like 80s dance pop tune that gets everybody out on the dance floor. One night I'm not really a club goer, but sometimes people be like, "Let's go out." So I went out, and they started playing that tune. It was just like you would have thought, like the Beatles showed up on stage. Everybody was like losing it. It's just a ton of fun, great energy, lots of great keyboard, lots of great synth, specifically like lots of little okay, what are they called? I don't know. A lot of really great kind of guns that really kind of make it this really big thing. Something that I highly recommend. It's just fun. It gets you up, gets you dancing. It's a great tune.
That's a song I'd say that I don't necessarily think it's a cover that's better than the original, but I do think it's a cover that at the very least matches and at least lives up to the original. So that's my personal opinion.
I think I made my disdain for 80s known well enough to where whenever I hear Venus by Bananarama, I want to sew my ears shut.
But Zach, if you want to if you sew your ears shut, you can never listen to the teacher again.
What you got?
I don't think he can hear me. Zach,
Zach, what you got for us?
Yeah, Zach, it's your turn. Zach, can you hear me? Zach.
I think he sewed his ears shut.
Yeah,
No.
he was so pissed off about.
Yeah, sorry, Zach. Yeah,
It was so
impact his life.
Yeah, he was just like,
Yeah.
just like he heard it and he just had a rage. It's like me whenever I think of "Run for Your Life."
All right. I'll do mine next, and then we'll get back to Zach. Hopefully, maybe some doctors will have helped him unsew his ears by that point. Since Matthew mentioned Queen's Clearwater Revival earlier, I have a good lead in here. I am going with their version of "I Put a Spell on You," originally by Screamin' Jay Hawkins. The original's a good song. It's not. I don't think the production on it's all that great though. But the Creedence version is just great. It's an all-time top like vocal performance by John Fogerty in my opinion. He sounds great on that song. He really does all sorts of stuff with his voice in that one. It's like maybe his best vocal performance in my opinion. It just he sounds great on that song, and he really, you know, when he's like, I ain't lying, you know, he really managed to pull out some sort of like a kind of a sinister sound, you know, there, and it really sounds very intriguing in my opinion, and also the playing from the rest of the band sounds great as always. Creedence Clearwater, of course, is a great band, and so that's my pick. Here, I Put a Spell on You by Creedence Clearwater Revival.
They also like best portray. It's almost like I don't know if you've seen the movie Princess and the Frog. The villain, it's almost like reminds me of him, like a spooky. You know, you got like a like a sorcerer coming after you or something. You know.
Yeah. It can walk kind of like that too, in addition to obviously being a song sort of about kind of the darker side of like relationships as well, so it's got some applicability. Alright, Zach, back to you. You've failed.
The dog showed my ears successfully. I'm gonna also cheat and do a two-parter. I want to talk about "Nothing Compares to You" by Chris Cornell, as well as "Rusty Cage" by Johnny Cash.
Is Nothing Compares
Chris
to You
Cornell
a cover of the Sinead O'Connell Prince song?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's kind of weird because Prince, like, he was really weird about people covering his songs, and he would like get all mad. Like the Foo Fighters covered, I forget the name of the song now, but they covered a Prince song, and then in retaliation, Prince said, "I'm going to do Best of You at the Super Bowl halftime show," thinking it would really get them upset, and it didn't. So, he was upset that Chris Cornell did that song, but I mean, God, Chris's version. Chris is just like one of those guys that like you listen to him and like you're in a trance listening to him. And when he did all those like acoustic covers, most of them were better than the original, like "Thank You" by Led Zeppelin. But his cover of "Nothing Compares to You" is just it's so hauntingly beautiful, and no one sings like him anymore. I'm not quoting him, like quoting Blackwell Sun on purpose, but God, "Nothing Compares to You." And then "Rusty Cage" by Johnny Cash, which is a cover of a Cigar song, like turns the song on its head, and basically just turns it from like this big, loud grunge song to this like laid back, folky kind of country song. And I think I'm not going to say that it's better than Siren's version. I'm going to say it's pretty much equal, but Johnny Cash's version really like shows how great the lyrics were because he's not screaming the words like Chris does. But I mean, it's both of them are very, very good songs, very good versions. Yeah, "Nothing Compares to You" though is much better than Sinead O'Connor's, much better than Prince's.
I'm familiar with the original versions of both of these songs. The Sinead O'Connell version of "Nothing Compares to You" as well as the Prince version, which technically came out later, but still. I am familiar with those. I'm familiar with the Soundgarden version of "Rusty Cage," which is probably my favorite Soundgarden song, but I'm not familiar with either of these covers, so I do plan to check them out, especially the Johnny Cash version of Rusty Cage, because Rusty Cage is a song I've been listening to a lot this year, actually.
We're big fan. Sorry.
I would never say, I think you're going to say like the exact same thing I was going to say. I would never say that Johnny Cash's version's better than Soundgarden, because Soundgarden is one of my favorite bands of all time. But it's just different.
We're big fans of Soundgarden in this roundtable.
Alright, I'm going to stop this video for now. We have a lot more ideas, though, for covers that we like better than the original, and we will be back in a part 2 of this video sometime very soon to talk about them some more. So if you enjoyed watching this video, I would like to encourage you to like and subscribe, because that does help me out a lot. And I want to thank you for watching. I hope you had a great rest of your day. I'll see you in the next video.